Kate Morrison stepped carefully through the broken doorway. Her boots crunched on shattered glass. The research station was supposed to be empty. But something felt wrong. Her team spread out behind her, weapons ready. "This place gives me the creeps," said Danny, one of the other scouts. He was young, maybe 25. And this was only his third mission off Earth. Kate nodded, but kept moving forward. The station was dark, except for the light from their helmets. Red emergency lights blinked along the walls. Someone had been here recently. The air still smelled like burnt metal and something else, something alive. They found the first body in the main hall. It was a Varathi warrior, the reptilian species that claimed this sector of space. His scales were gray-green, and he was very dead. Claw marks covered his armor. "What did this?" Danny whispered. Kate knelt beside the body. The claw marks were deep and precise. Something strong, something that knows how to hunt. Her captain, a woman named Lisa Grant, called over the radio. Kate jogged through the corridors, following Lisa's signal. The East Wing had been converted into something strange. Large pens lined the walls. Most were empty, but signs of life were everywhere. Food bowls, sleeping areas, training equipment. "They were keeping animals here," Lisa said. She pointed to a computer terminal that was still working. "Look at this." Kate studied the screen. The text was in Varathi language, but her translator handled it easily. "Creche breeding program," she read aloud. "Combat training, domestication protocols." She looked at Lisa. "They were trying to turn them into weapons." "What's a creche?" Kate pulled up an image from the database. The creature on the screen was beautiful and terrifying. It looked like a mix between a big cat and something alien. Its body was sleek and muscular, covered in dark fur with glowing blue patterns. 6 eyes arranged in 2 rows. Powerful jaws. Claws that could cut through metal. "Predators," Kate said. "Native to a planet 3 systems over. Highly intelligent. The Varathi have been trying to capture them for years." A sound echoed through the wing. It was low and rumbling, like a growl mixed with a purr. Kate's hand went to her weapon. "There." Danny pointed. "In the far pen." In the far pen. Kate approached slowly. Her heart pounded, but she kept her movements calm and steady. Years of working with dangerous animals had taught her that fear made things worse. 3 small shapes huddled in the corner of the pen. They were young creche, barely bigger than large dogs. Their glowing patterns pulsed with distress. One had dried blood on its fur. They watched Kate with all 6 eyes, bodies tense and ready to run or fight. "Babies," Kate breathed. "They're just babies." "We should go," Lisa said. "The Varathi could come back any minute." Kate studied the cubs. They were thin, scared. The pen was littered with the bodies of adult creche, probably their parents. The attack that killed the Varathi guards had killed the adults too. These 3 had survived somehow. She reached out slowly with her hand, not too close. One of the cubs, the largest with bright blue markings, tilted its head, studying her. "Kate, we don't have time for this," Danny said. But Kate saw something in those eyes. Intelligence. Understanding. These weren't just animals. The way they watched her, calculated their options, responded to her body language, it was sapient behavior. She had seen it in dolphins, in elephants, in the smart species back on Earth. "They understand us," she said softly. "They're animals," Lisa replied. "Dangerous ones." "No." Kate shook her head. "Look at them. Really look." The cubs had moved into a defensive formation without any visible signal to each other. The largest in front, the other 2 flanking. It was tactical, coordinated, smart. Kate made a decision that would change everything. She opened the pen door and stepped inside. "Kate, no!" Danny shouted. The cubs tensed. The large one growled, but it was a warning, not an attack. Kate sat down on the floor, making herself smaller, less threatening. She pulled a food bar from her pack and broke it into pieces. She tossed one piece toward the cubs, not too close. They didn't move for a long moment. Then, the smallest one, with red-orange patterns, crept forward. It sniffed the food. Its eyes never left Kate's face. Slowly, carefully, it ate the piece. Kate tossed another piece. The middle cub, this one with silver markings, came forward too. The largest remained in position, guarding. "We share food in my world," Kate said quietly. "It means we're not enemies." The cubs couldn't understand her words, but they understood her tone, her intention. The largest one finally moved forward. It took the last piece from Kate's hand, its warm breath on her palm. An alarm blared through the station. Lisa's voice crackled over the radio, urgent and scared. "Vorathi, ships incoming. Multiple contacts. We need to evacuate now." Kate stood up. The cubs backed away, but they didn't run. They watched her. "I'm not leaving them," Kate said. "That's insane," Danny replied. "They'll die here, or worse, the Vorathi will recapture them." Lisa appeared in the doorway. "Kate, that's an order. We move now." Kate looked at the cubs, at their intelligent eyes, at their coordinated defensive stance, at the bodies of their dead parents scattered around them. She thought about what the Vorathi had planned for them, a life as weapons, as slaves. She thought about Earth's own history, about what humans had done to other intelligent species before they learned better. "Then I'm staying," Kate said. The station shook. The Vorathi were landing. Lisa grabbed Kate's arm, but an explosion rocked the building. The ceiling collapsed between them, cutting Kate off from her team. Through the dust and debris, Lisa's voice came over the radio. "Get to the secondary extraction point. North Ridge. We'll come back for you." But Kate knew they wouldn't make it back in time. She was alone, in an enemy facility, with 3 alien predator cubs who had no reason to trust her. The largest cub made a sound, complex and layered. Then it moved toward the broken wall, looking back at Kate. The message was clear: "Follow me if you want to live." Kate checked her weapon and followed the cub into the darkness. The other 2 fell in beside her. Together, they ran from the sounds of the Vorathi soldiers entering the facility. The night air was cold against Kate's face. She ran behind the large cub with blue markings, trusting it to know the terrain better than she did. The other 2 cubs kept pace on either side of her. They moved like ghosts through the darkness. Behind them, the research station burned. Kate could hear Vorathi voices shouting commands. They would organize a search soon. She needed distance. The blue cub led them into a rocky canyon. The walls rose high on both sides, blocking the moon's light. Kate activated her helmet light, but the cub growled softly. She understood. Light would give them away. She switched it off and relied on the cub's glowing patterns to guide her. They ran for what felt like hours. Kate's legs burned and her lungs ached, but she didn't slow down. The cubs showed no signs of tiring. They were built for this, she realized, for running down prey over long distances. Finally, the blue cub stopped at a cave entrance. It looked back at Kate and made a soft clicking sound. "Safe," the sound seemed to say. For now. Kate followed them inside. The cave was shallow, but dry. She checked her equipment. Her communicator was damaged from the explosion. Her weapon had half a charge left. She had water for 2 days and food for 3. Not enough if rescue took longer. The cubs watched her with their 6 eyes. In the dim light from their bioluminescent patterns, Kate could see them more clearly. They were young, probably not even a year old in their species development. The blue one was male, she thought, based on the broader shoulders. The silver one seemed female. The smallest one with orange-red markings was hard to tell. Kate sat with her back against the cave wall. The adrenaline was fading, replaced by exhaustion and pain. She had bruises from the explosion. Her side hurt where she had hit the ground. The blue cub approached slowly. It sniffed her injured side and made a concerned sound. The others came closer too. They arranged themselves in a circle around her, their warm bodies creating a barrier against the cold. Kate realized what they were doing. They were keeping her warm, protecting her. She reached out carefully and touched the blue cub's fur. It was soft and warm. The cub didn't pull away. "I'm going to give you names," Kate said quietly. "You need names if we're going to survive together." She pointed to the blue cub. "Scout, because you led us here." She touched the silver one. "Shadow, because you move so quietly." She looked at the orange-red cub. "Ember, because your patterns look like fire." The cubs didn't understand the words, but they seemed to like her calm voice. Scout made a chirping sound and rested his head on his paws. Kate shared her food with them. They ate carefully, watching her to learn what was safe. She showed them her water container. Shadow figured out how to drink from it first, then showed the others. When they finished eating, Kate tried to sleep, but every sound made her jump. Every shadow in the cave mouth looked like a Varathi soldier. Scout seemed to notice her fear. He positioned himself at the cave entrance, watching. Shadow and Ember curled up closer to Kate. They were keeping guard, she realized. Taking shifts, like soldiers. In the morning, Kate woke to find Scout gently pawing at her arm. His body language was urgent. Danger. She grabbed her weapon and moved to the cave entrance. Varathi patrol ships flew overhead, scanning the canyon. They hadn't found the cave yet, but they were searching systematically. Kate and the cubs needed to move. She checked her communicator again. Still broken. But she remembered the maps from the mission briefing. There was an emergency extraction point north of here. A ridge with a landing pad. If her team made it out, they would wait there for 3 days before leaving. Kate showed the direction to Scout. North. The cub tilted his head, processing. Then he nodded. A very human gesture that surprised her. They left the cave carefully. Scout moved ahead, checking for dangers. Shadow and Ember stayed close to Kate, ready to defend her. They moved through the canyon like a hunting pack, and Kate realized that's exactly what they were. A pack. With her as part of it. The journey north was difficult. The terrain was rough, full of sharp rocks and steep climbs. Kate's human body struggled, where the cubs moved easily, but whenever she fell behind, one of them would wait for her. Sometimes Ember would make an encouraging sound, almost like she was saying, "You can do it." On the second day, they found a stream. Kate refilled her water, while the cubs drank and played in the shallow water. For a moment, they were just young animals, splashing and chasing each other. Kate smiled despite the danger. They deserved to be young and free, not weapons in someone's war. That's when the drones attacked. They came from above. 4 Krell machines. The insectoid species had drones everywhere, scavenging and collecting data. These ones saw Kate and identified her as human. Enemy. They dove with their energy weapons charging. Kate fired at the first drone and hit it. The machine exploded in a shower of sparks. But the other 3 spread out, making themselves harder targets. Scout, Shadow, and Ember moved instantly. They formed a triangle around Kate, facing outward. Scout leaped at one drone, his claws tearing through its armor. Shadow used her speed to dodge another drone's shot, then jumped and brought it down. Ember, the smallest, worked with Kate. When a drone came low, Ember drove it toward Kate's line of fire. They worked together like they had trained for years. Kate called out warnings. The cubs responded to her voice, her hand signals, even her body language. In 5 minutes, all 4 drones were destroyed. Kate checked the cubs for injuries. Shadow had a burn on her hind leg from a glancing shot. Kate used her medical supplies to treat it. The cub held still, trusting Kate completely. That night, they sheltered in another cave. Kate held Shadow's head in her lap while the burn healed. Scout and Ember pressed close. a warm, protective presence in the dark. "We're going to make it," Kate whispered. "All of us. Together." Scout made a sound. It was rough and unpracticed, but Kate heard it clearly. "Safe." He was repeating her word from the first night, trying to speak. Kate's eyes filled with tears. They weren't just animals. They were people. Young, scared people who had lost their families and found a new one in the last place they expected. She hugged Scout gently. "Yes. Safe. I promise." Kate crouched on the ridge overlooking the Vorathi base. Her stomach sank. The emergency extraction point was on the other side of that base. The only way to reach it was through the enemy's territory. Scout pressed against her side, looking at the same view. The base was massive. Guard towers, patrol ships, hundreds of soldiers. Getting through would be impossible. Her communicator crackled with static. Kate adjusted it carefully. A broken voice came through. "Morrison, if you're alive, 3 days. Then we leave." It was Lisa's voice. Her team was waiting. But this was day 2. Kate had less than 24 hours to cross an enemy base or be stranded on this planet forever. Shadow nudged Kate's hand. The cub looked up at her with those intelligent eyes. "Trust me." That look said. Kate thought about the past 2 days. How the cubs had guided her through dangerous terrain. How they had fought beside her against the drones. How they had learned her signals and her language. They were smart. Maybe smart enough for this. She knelt and drew in the dirt. A simple map. The base. The route. The landing pad on the other side. Scout watched carefully. He made a sound and drew his own claw through the dirt, showing an alternate path. Through the base. Not around it. "Too dangerous," Kate whispered. Scout shook his head. Another human gesture. He drew again. Through the maintenance tunnels. The small spaces where guards wouldn't expect intruders. Kate stared at the drawing. It could work. The cubs were smaller than adult creche. They could fit in spaces the Vorathi couldn't. And Kate was small for a human. "All right," she said. "But we stay together. All of us. Understand?" All 3 cubs made the same sound. Agreement. They waited until dark. The base lights came on. But that created shadows too. Perfect for hiding. Kate led them down the ridge, moving from cover to cover. The cubs followed her signals now, understanding stop, go, and danger. They reached the outer wall. Scout found the maintenance entrance, just like he had promised. The door was locked, but Kate's tools opened it quietly. They slipped inside. The tunnels were dark and cramped. Kate's helmet light showed the way. They moved quietly, hearing guards above them, hearing vehicles passing nearby. Kate's heart pounded so loud she thought everyone could hear it. They were halfway through when an alarm blared. Someone had found their entry point. Lights flooded the tunnels. Vorathi voices shouted commands. Kate heard boots running in their direction. "Move," Kate urged. They ran through the tunnels, taking turns randomly, trying to lose their pursuers. But the Vorathi knew these tunnels. They were herding Kate and the cubs toward something. They burst out of the tunnels into a huge hangar bay. Ships lined the walls, and waiting for them was a semicircle of 30 Vorathi warriors. These weren't regular soldiers. They wore ceremonial armor and carried traditional weapons, long curved blades that gleamed in the light. The Vorathi believed some kills required honor, required old ways. Kate raised her weapon. She had maybe 20 shots left. Not enough. Not nearly enough. Scout, Shadow, and Ember spread out beside her, growling. They wouldn't run. They wouldn't leave her. "Get behind me," Kate said firmly. The cubs didn't move. "Behind me." Scout looked at her. He made a sound that was almost a word. "No." No." The Vorathi commander stepped forward. He was huge, his scales a deep green that meant old age and many battles. He spoke in his language, and Kate's translator worked. The human protected the weapons. The weapons protect the human. This is not what we bred them for. He sounded confused. Angry. We will correct this mistake. Kate aimed at him. They're not weapons. They're children. And I won't let you hurt them. The commander laughed. You are one. We are many. You will die here. 41. Ended 9. 1. 1 did 9. 1 did 90. 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 Maybe, Kate said, but I'll take some of you with me. The commander raised his blade. The other warriors prepared to charge. Kate fired. Her first shots dropped 3 warriors. But then they were moving, running at her from all sides. She shot 2 more. Then her weapon overheated. Scout leaped at the nearest warrior. Shadow and Ember attacked from both sides. They fought with incredible coordination, protecting each other, protecting Kate. But there were too many enemies. A blade sliced across Kate's arm. She felt hot pain. Another warrior came from behind. His blade stabbed into her side. Kate screamed and fell to her knees. Scout roared and killed the warrior who had stabbed her. But more came. Shadow was bleeding from multiple cuts. Ember was limping. Kate tried to stand but couldn't. Her side was on fire. Blood poured from the wound. She could see more warriors coming. This was the end. She looked at the cubs. Run, she gasped. Please. Run. Scout came to her instead. He grabbed her jacket in his teeth and tried to drag her. But Kate was too heavy. And he was wounded too. Shadow and Ember joined him. They tried to pull Kate toward cover, but the Varathi were closing in. Blades raised. Then something happened that would change the galaxy forever. Scout stopped trying to drag Kate. He stood over her fallen body. Shadow and Ember understood immediately. They positioned themselves around Kate, their bodies covering hers. The 3 cubs formed a living shield. Their glowing patterns pulsed with defiance. They snarled at the approaching warriors, daring them to come closer. Kate, bleeding and fading, tried to push them away. No. No. You have to run. Save yourselves. But the cubs didn't move. Scout pressed his body down more firmly over Kate. His message was clear. To reach her, the Varathi would have to go through them first. The commander stopped. His warriors stopped. They stared at the scene before them. The cubs they had bred to be weapons. To feel no emotion. To obey without question. Were choosing to die for an alien they had known for only 2 days. Impossible, the commander whispered. One of his warriors raised a blade. He stepped toward the cubs. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocked the hangar. The wall blew inward. Ships roared overhead. Kate heard human voices shouting, heard weapons firing. Her team had come back. They had brought others. The last thing Kate saw before darkness took her was Scout's face close to hers. Those 6 eyes filled with something that looked like tears. His voice, rough and unpracticed, whispered a word she had taught him. Safe. Then everything went black. But she was safe. The cubs had made sure of it, just as she had made sure of theirs. Kate woke slowly. Everything hurt. Her side felt like it was on fire. Her arm throbbed. Even breathing was painful. Easy, a voice said. Don't try to move yet. Kate opened her eyes. White ceiling. Medical equipment. She was in a ship's medical bay. A doctor stood beside her bed, checking monitors. The cubs, Kate whispered. Her throat was dry and raw. They're fine. Well, alive at least. Recovering in the next room. The doctor smiled. They refused to leave until we promised they could see you. As soon as you woke up, relief flooded through Kate. How long was I out? 3 days. You lost a lot of blood. The blade missed your vital organs by inches. You're very lucky. Kate didn't feel lucky. She felt like she'd been hit by a truck. Safe. They brought a coalition force to rescue you. Ships from 3 different species. The doctor paused. You're famous now, Lieutenant Morrison. Or maybe infamous. Depends who you ask. What do you mean? The doctor pulled up a screen. Your suit recorded everything. The fight. The Cubs protecting you. It broadcasted on emergency frequencies. Every ship in the sector received it. And then, it spread. Kate watched the video. She saw herself standing between the Cubs and the Vorathi. Saw herself fall. Saw Scout, Shadow, and Ember cover her body with their own, refusing to abandon her, even when death was certain. This has been viewed by billions across dozens of species, the doctor said quietly. Some are calling you a hero. Others are calling you a traitor to humanity for protecting alien predators. But everyone is talking about it. A soft sound came from the doorway. Kate looked over. Scout stood there, bandages wrapped around his chest and legs. Behind him, Shadow and Ember waited, also wounded, but alive. Let them in, Kate said. The doctor hesitated. They're not cleared for... Let them in, please. The doctor sighed and stepped aside. The 3 Cubs moved into the room carefully. They approached Kate's bed with gentle steps, like they were afraid she might break. Scout reached the bed first. He made a soft whining sound and pressed his nose against Kate's hand. Shadow and Ember came to the other side. Ember's eyes were wet. Kate hadn't known the Cubs could cry. Hey, Kate whispered. We made it, all of us. Scout made that sound again, the one that was almost a word. Safe. Kate smiled through her pain. Yes, safe now. The next week was chaos. Kate was confined to the medical bay, but visitors came constantly. Her captain, Lisa, came first. The military doesn't know what to do with you, Lisa said. You disobeyed orders. You stayed with enemy assets. You caused an international incident. They're not assets, Kate said firmly. They're people. I know. Lisa smiled. I watched the video. Everyone did. Those Cubs chose you. And you chose them. That means something. A Vorathi delegation came next. Not warriors, but scientists and politicians. They looked uncomfortable. We have been studying the creche for years, one said. We believed they were animals. Intelligent animals, yes, but animals. What happened in that hangar bay? We were wrong. You kept them in cages, Kate said coldly. You bred them like tools. Yes, and we must answer for that. The Vorathi looked at Scout, who watched from the corner. We are shutting down the breeding program. All creche will be freed. It is the least we can do. More visitors came. Reporters, scientists, even other species who wanted to see the Cubs who had protected a human. The Cubs stayed close to Kate through it all, never leaving her for long. A week later, the translators arrived. Small devices that could be worn around the neck. They would translate the creche language into others and back again. Scout was the first to try one. He made his clicking, chirping sounds, and the translator spoke in a mechanical voice. Kate. My Kate. Pack. Kate's eyes filled with tears. Yes, Pack, family. Shadow spoke next. Scared. We were scared. But you stayed. You covered us from the blades, and you covered me, Kate replied. Ember's voice was softer. We learned from you. You showed us protecting is what good people do. The Cubs could speak now. They could tell their story. And the galaxy listened. A human philosopher published a paper about the incident. It asked hard questions. What makes someone a person? Is it intelligence? Emotion? The ability to choose? The Cubs had all of these. They had chosen to protect Kate, knowing they might die. That was the choice of people, not animals. The paper sparked debates across every civilized world. Some species admitted they had been wrong about others. Some began freeing those they had enslaved. It wasn't a perfect change, but it was a start. A month after the incident, Kate was discharged from medical. The military had decided not to punish her. Instead, they gave her a choice: return to normal duty or take early discharge. Kate chose discharge. She had a new mission now. Scout, Shadow, and Ember were granted refugee status. They were free to go wherever they wanted. They chose to stay with Kate. "Where will you go?" Lisa asked, on the day Kate left the ship. Kate looked at the three cubs, now wearing their translators and standing proud. They had grown in the past month. Soon, they would be as large as the adults she had seen in that first facility. "Somewhere we can help others," Kate said. "There are more creche out there. Scared. Alone. They need someone who understands them." Scout spoke through his translator. "And humans need to learn about us. We will teach. Together." Lisa hugged Kate. "Good luck. And thank you for showing us what humanity really means." Kate and the cubs left on a civilian transport. As they flew away from the military fleet, Shadow looked out the window at the stars. "So many worlds," Shadow said. Kate smiled. Ember leaned against Kate's leg. "Then, we are always home. With Pack." Kate scratched behind Ember's ears, something she had learned the cubs loved. She thought about everything that had happened. The fear, the pain, the moment she thought she would die. But she also thought about the moment the cubs had covered her body with their own. The moment they had chosen her life over their safety. The moment they had shown the galaxy that love and loyalty weren't human traits. They were universal. "Yes," Kate said quietly. "Always home. With Pack." Scout made a rumbling sound that was the creche equivalent of laughter. "The Bladewalkers wanted to make us weapons. Instead, we became family. I think we won." Kate laughed too, despite the aches still in her body. "Yeah, we won." 6 months had passed since the hangar bay. Kate stood on the landing platform of a small colony called Haven's Rest. The wind blew her hair back as she watched the sunset. Red and orange light painted the sky. Scout sat beside her. He was huge now, nearly the size of a horse. His blue patterns glowed softly in the fading light. Shadow and Ember were below, helping colonists unload supplies. "The cubs that saved the human," a voice said behind them. "That's what people call you." 3. Kate turned. An older man approached, his face weathered by years in space. His name was Carl Briggs, and he ran Haven's Rest. "They're not cubs anymore. Thanks for watching." Would he want see in them marked? "They're not cubs anymore." No, I suppose not. Carl looked at Scout with respect and a bit of fear. "Are you sure about this job?" "The pirates are dangerous." "We're sure," Kate said. The colony had sent a message 3 weeks ago. Pirates had been raiding their supply ships, taking food, medicine, equipment. The colony was too small and too far from military protection. They needed help, Kate had answered. She didn't work for the military anymore. She was a private contractor now. But her reputation had spread. The woman who had saved the creche cubs, the woman the cubs had saved back. People trusted her. "They hit the north sector most often," Carl said. "We've lost 5 shipments there." Kate pulled up a map on her portable screen. She studied the terrain: rocky hills, caves, good hiding spots. "Scout, what do you think?" Scout looked at the map. His translator crackled to life. "They use the caves. Ambush from above. Standard predator tactics. Can we track them?" "Yes, Shadow is best tracker. She will find them." Carl looked between Kate and Scout with wonder. "You two work together like you've been doing this for years." Kate smiled. "We have. Just not in ways most people would recognize." That night, Kate and the three Kresh prepared. They checked their equipment. Kate carried a rifle and a scanner. The Kresh wore light armor that protected their vital areas but didn't slow them down. Their translators were attached to their collars. "Remember," Kate said, "we want to scare them away, not kill them. We're not here to be monsters." "Understood," Shadow said. Her voice through the translator was always soft, thoughtful. "We will give them a chance to run." "And if they don't run?" Ember asked. She was the smallest of the three but also the most aggressive. "Then we make them wish they had." They moved out at dawn. Shadow led the way, her nose to the ground. She could track scents that were days old. Within an hour, she found the pirates' trail. 6 of them, Shadow reported. Heavy weapons. Moving slow. Overconfident. Heavy weapons. Overconfident. "Good," Kate said. "That gives us the advantage." They followed the trail for 3 hours. The pirates were heading toward a supply depot on the colony's northern edge. Kate contacted Carl and told him to delay the supply ship. Then, she set her trap. Scout climbed the rocks above the pirates' usual ambush position. Shadow circled around to their rear. Ember stayed with Kate at the front. They waited. The pirates arrived at noon. 6 humans in battered armor, carrying stolen military weapons. They set up in the rocks, preparing for the supply ship. Kate stepped out into the open. "Gentlemen," she said calmly, "this is your one chance to leave." The pirates stared at her. Then, they laughed. Their leader, a big man with scars on his face, pointed his weapon at her. "One woman thinks she can stop us? You're either brave or stupid." "Neither," Kate said. "I'm just the distraction," Scout roared from above. The sound echoed through the canyon, deep and primal and terrifying. The pirates spun. Looking up, they saw Scout's massive form on the rocks, his 6 eyes glowing, his claws extended. "What the hell is that?" one pirate screamed. "That's Scout," Kate said. "And he has friends." Shadow emerged from behind, cutting off their escape. Ember came from the side. The 3 Kresh had the pirates surrounded. The leader aimed at Scout. "I don't care what it is. I'll kill it," he fired. Scout dodged the shot easily and leaped down. He landed between the pirates and Kate, his body a shield. He didn't attack. He just stood there, daring them to try again. "Last chance," Kate said. "Drop your weapons and leave. Or find out why the Varathi were afraid of the Kresh." 2 pirates dropped their weapons immediately and ran. A third followed. That left 3, including the leader. "We're not scared of animals," the leader said. Shadow spoke through her translator, her voice calm and clear. "We are not animals. We are Kresh, and we protect what is ours. This colony is under our protection now." The leader's eyes widened. "They can talk? We can do more than talk," Ember added. She moved with liquid grace, positioning herself to cut off any escape. "But we prefer not to. Killing is easy. Mercy is harder. We choose hard." The remaining pirates looked at each other. At the 3 massive predators surrounding them. At Kate, who stood calm and unafraid. They dropped their weapons and ran. Scout watched them go. "They will tell others. More will know this colony is protected." "Good," Kate said. "Word will spread. Maybe we can stop problems before they start." The next week, 5 more Kresh arrived at Haven's Rest. They were refugees from the Varathi breeding programs. Freed, but lost. They had heard about Kate. About the human, who understood them. Kate welcomed them. Scout, Shadow, and Ember taught them to work with humans, to communicate, to build trust. Within a month, Haven's Rest had become something unique. A colony where humans and Kresh lived together, worked together, learned from each other. More colonies sent requests. More Kresh refugees arrived. Kate found herself building something bigger than she had imagined. Not just a rescue operation. A movement. One evening, Kate sat on the cliff overlooking the colony. Lights twinkled below. She could see humans and Kresh walking together, talking, sharing meals. Scout joined her, as he always did. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. "Do you remember the facility?" Scout asked finally. "When we first met?" "Every day," Kate said. "I was so scared. We all were. Our parents were dead. The Bladewalkers had hurt us, trained us to fight, to kill." Scout paused. "Then you came. You sat down. You gave us food. You made yourself small and unthreatening. You could have killed me," Kate said. "Even as cubs, you were dangerous. But we didn't. Because we saw something in you. The same thing you saw in us." Scout looked at her with his 6 eyes. "You saw people. Not weapons. Not animals. People." Kate reached out and scratched behind Scout's ears. He rumbled with pleasure. "And you protected me when I protected you," she said. "You covered my body with yours. You were willing to die for me. Because that is what family does," Shadow said, approaching with Ember. "We learned that from you." Ember sat on Kate's other side. "The Bladewalkers thought they could make us into tools. But you showed us what we really were. What we could be." Kate looked at the 3 Kresh, who had changed her life. Who had changed the galaxy. "I just did what anyone should do. I protected children who needed help." "No," Scout said firmly. "Most would have left us. Most would have seen the danger and walked away. You stayed. You risked everything. That is not what anyone would do. That is what heroes do." "I'm not a hero," Kate protested. "The galaxy disagrees," Shadow said softly. Kate laughed. "The galaxy also thinks I'm crazy for living with predators." "Are we predators?" Ember asked. There was something vulnerable in her voice. Kate pulled Ember close. "You're hunters. That's your nature. But you're also people. You choose how to use your strength. That's what matters." They sat together as the stars came out. Below, the colony settled for the night. Human children played with young Kresh. Adults of both species worked on repairs together. It wasn't perfect. There were still misunderstandings. Still fear. But it was a start. "What do we do now?" Shadow asked. Kate smiled. "We keep building. We show others that different species can work together. That we're stronger together than apart. And when others need help?" Scout asked. "We help them. That's what Pack does." Ember made a happy sound. "Pack. I like that word. It means family you choose, not family you're born into." "Exactly," Kate said. Scout stood and looked out at the stars. "The Bladewalkers wanted to breed loyalty. They failed because you cannot breed it. You cannot force it. It must be earned and given freely." Shadow added. "We gave it to you," Ember said. "And you gave it to us." Kate stood too, putting her hand on Scout's shoulder. "And now we give it to others. We show them what's possible." Below, a new ship landed. More refugees, more people needing help. Kate and the 3 Kresh headed down to meet them. Together, they walked into the future. Human and Kresh, different but united. Not by breeding or training or force, but by choice. By the simple act of protecting each other, by being Pack. And the galaxy would never be the same.